Today's going to be a big day because I am finally attacking the orange room. So this is going to become the master bedroom. Ceiling's already been taken down by the builders, which is great, and the new wiring is in place from the electrician, so that's also great. This socket does need moving because I'm actually going to have a radiator here, so I need to move that along here. But before I do anything like that, I need to make sure that these walls stop falling to pieces, because this is the main supporting wall for the house. So today, what I'm going to be doing is everywhere you see orange, that's going to come off. So not just the wallpaper, but all of the plaster right back to the brick. And then I am going to be repointing and cementing in new or replacement bricks wherever I need to. And I'm also going to give it like a base coat of like PVA cement slurry, just to kind of seal everything in and make sure that when I do the scratch coat tomorrow, I'm able to just get that all stuck up basically. And that scratch coat is just like a sand and cement scratch coat. That's just going to give this a little bit of extra stability. And then on top of that, I'm going to dot and dab plasterboard. So it's not going to be the final finish. The goal is literally just to make sure those bricks stay together for as long as possible.
You can't record smells with that thing.
I know.
This height, absolutely horrific. Just repulsive.
You can.
I remember what it used to smell like when I smelled that.
It triggers it, doesn't it?
But I do think once the tiles are out,
That'll help it.
it'll be a lot better.
Help it breathe for a while. All of the tiles are now up here in the utility. Got some cracks in the floor, which I think is okay. Don't think it's moving, but good to be aware of those things. And the smell is back, the smell of urine. So I'm gonna have to do something about making this floor just a little bit nicer. And then I'll put down some kind of ceiling screed, just to really make sure it stays away from the living place. But now, no boiler cupboard, render all over the top's gone, tiles are all up. So much difference. In the bathroom here, flooring has started going down. It's a proper interlocking 22mm thick fireproof. It's like a cement fiberboard. The toilet has finally been removed and I can knock off that bit of plaster, and I'll wait until the floor's in, but then I can take down that bit of ceiling as well. And that will just kind of finish off the removal of the old bathroom. But it's looking so good. And this opening that was the original door into the toilet, this is all going to be studded up, and I'm going to have an obscure stained glass in here. So you won't be able to see through, but you'll get some nice light through into this area of corridor. Well, we've got windows in. You can see the amazing sunlight we're getting from these skylights. I was so on the fence about putting in skylights, and I'm so glad that we ended up going for it, because get all of this beautiful morning midday sun. This window is just incredible. I mean, holy shit. Like, what is, yeah, wow. been a weekend of stud walling. Got this acoustic one on my party wall, and I finally worked out what I even want to do with these low walls and how I was gonna actually build that up. On this back wall, there is no break in the vapor barrier, and then going up here, there might be a slight one, but also there's air movement there, so I think it'll be okay. I'm just really happy with how it came out. It's fairly vertical and it's fairly straight, like well within my tolerances. So on the front of these, there's going to be a little bit of cupboarding, not a huge amount, but just enough to give me a loft, basically, because obviously there's no storage space up here once this is living space. But if I can just bring that forwards 500 mil, something like that, then that'll be totally fine. And I can just guarantee that the back of those cupboards is not going to be cold and wet and condensation-y. Today's goal is a really easy one, and one I've been really just waiting to do for a long time. And that is, this fireplace is now blocked up. Now it doesn't have its vent drilled into it yet. I think they're going to do that as soon as it's all cured properly. But now that it is blocked up, I can start building stud framework in front of it. And once this framework is up, then I can board out this wall just dot and dab plasterboard. And that is going to make this room just transformed. I've got this weekend, next weekend, and one more weekend until the plumber comes to fit all of my central heating. He needs walls to hang the radiators off. A lot of progress is being made. It's just crazy to me that we're thinking about plasterboard. Just crazy. I'm still in the mindset of this is a building site, everything's mucky, everything's going to get damaged. But we're actually at this kind of weird turning point where we're having to start putting in some things which are going to be what I look at for the next 20 years. So yeah, wow, super exciting. Super exciting. That is one day down, one frame down. It was really cool actually just to see the bed centre is about there, or I suppose the room centre is there. So that's where those two sockets are, you can see all the diagonals. But it's one of those things that the room looks pretty, I don't know if it translates in camera, but it looks not that big now that I'm actually in it, and it's empty and it's just the walls. But when I actually plotted out where the bed was, even with like a full-size king bed, it really left a lot of room in the room, a lot of space in the room. It's one of those things where you start thinking, oh, so I can have a bed plus an ottoman plus a massive built-in wardrobe. It's just going to be such a nice space. It's so over the top for me. It's so, like, despite all this, I'm such a sort of minimalist in the way that I live. Like, I only do a few things, and I'm very much a creature of habit. It's going to be amazing just to have dedicated spaces for each of those things. And this is kind of like a hobby now, DIY and designing interiors. It's become just a thing to enjoy and a thing to kind of mull over in a sort of bigger sense. But yeah, there we go. So you can see those little cross beams there. That's just because that alcove is slightly deeper. And then yeah, each of these bays. So I've got 10 bays for 600 bahts and then 2 bays for 400 bahts of the sound insulation rock wall. So there we go. This one is another one ticked off the list. This wall is pretty much how I want it to be. So what I've done is I've created this structure which attaches to the floor joists and the roof joists. The whole framework is screwed up and down. It's resting underneath the rafter end so they can actually be supported, and they're screwed in for a little bit of extra stability. And then we also have these anchor points connecting it to the brickwork so the bricks can't move separately. So now the brick, this kind of weird triangle thing that was completely sort of flappy before is now actually attached top, bottom, right, and obviously left where it's jointed into the wall. It's now fully secured. Today's job, taking down the ceiling in the bathroom, taking the plaster off the wall, just generally clearing that out and making that ready for the next step, which is going to be stud walling, which I need to get the framework built today. I am running out of time, it's gone midday. If I can take everything down in the next hour and get it bagged up and out, then I think I will be onto a winner. So that's the plan. Last thing for me to do today, stick some ducting up here. I'm going to cut through that wall and see if the whole thing falls down. Let's see how we did. Nice, nice, nice. I like a bit of debris. I like it. Nice, awesome. Look at that. That did good, actually. Something that I need to do today, just to finish up this wall, I need to do this bit of ducting, which is going to come up here, diagonally across into this void. And I can kind of deal with it once it's up there. Think about how I can get the next section up and like how that's going to go into the top bit. It's going to take a little bit of designing out here, but it should be possible. It should be possible. The roof is at about 30 degrees, and as long as I get the next piece coming up above the doorway, it should be fine. A lot of progress today, but we did get our ducting in, and actually we did the section above the door, so. But this ducting is God, it was hard work. I was expecting just to be able to drop a weighted rope down it, and frankly, not a chance. Every single joint is snagged on. Something extremely exciting happened yesterday, and it's been a long time coming. I've had the house now for 19 months, I think, something in the region of. And this window, this is the final glass, not cracked. Sills are in, sealed all the way around. It's in, it's done. We have waterproofed the house. Even though it's raining today, totally safe. There's nothing coming in. I mean, if you remember before I was doing this room, we had this flat roof here, and it was totally mouldy here from where everything was coming in around that chimney stack. And it had been like that for like 40 years. Also all over the front, all over this room. When I bought it, there, totally falling through, and the window was falling out. So it's been just incredible to get it now to this point where I can look outside and see rain, and I can look inside and not see rain. And that's just such a special thing as a homeowner, to not be thinking about where to place a bucket. So today's job is going to be dot and dab the main supporting wall of the house, which is this wall in the bedroom. So everything's still a mess as we walk around, but this wall today will go from this to this, and that should make a pretty big difference in here. Today is a very exciting day because we have a toilet in the house. It's not necessarily the toilet I'm going to keep with, but it will do me for the rest of this year. And yeah, when I actually come to do this room, once it's all finished drying, then we are going to get some new stuff in here. But for now, we can actually stay over and use the toilet. How great is that? And then we also have radiators in the hallway and in the gym here. So that's good. Now they're not special radiators, they're just convector panels with copper coming up to them, but yeah, I think subtle and inexpensive is really what I'm after. This radiator is too hot to touch, and I can't explain to you how happy that makes me. It has been so long since there has been any kind of reasonable warmth in this house. Like, it's just hot. It's just full of hot water. And the house is making the hot water. It's just, yeah, well. I think it's especially crazy because it's felt so distant for such a long time, and now we actually have central heating, and it is running, and it is cozy, and it is, oh, I appreciate I'm still wearing 3 jumpers and a hat, but the house is starting to warm up now. Actually incredible. It's so cool to do a project like this. I know I've said it's bad before, and I've recommended against people doing it, but honestly, if you get the opportunity to buy a house that needs a little bit of work, not necessarily as much as mine did, but a little bit of customizing, that is just such a wonderful process to go through, and it's such an affirming thing to do to a house to turn it into your ideal home.